I'm back from GTC 2026, and I've had some time to collect my thoughts. Up to 40,000-ish people this year, and not one person I talked to there was down on AI. So many of you are. Oh, and there were some that were down on management. Yes, management not understanding what AI actually enables, and firing people. Hilarious. Look, I think we're already in a recession. AI is maybe masking it a bit in two different ways. One, it lets people fire people that they were going to fire anyway, and then blame AI. But AI can also improve productivity. I am 100% in the camp of, why would you fire people when you have AI? AI is enabling your people to have workflows they've never dreamed of. You get this AI tool, use it as a competitive advantage. Enjoy the productivity gains from it. Let your smart people use it. Don't use it as a convenient excuse to fire people in order to keep the rate of innovation basically the same, because hopefully your competition would use AI to out-innovate you if it's not some sort of capture. Hey, that's enough of that. Here's the most important takeaway from GTC. AI without people is not that useful. AI in the hands of people that know what they're doing, I think, is going to be everything. It's going to be the most important thing. And maybe, just maybe, if GTC is ahead of the curve here, the people there is this kind of realization that that's starting to happen. Now, Supermicro sponsored my travel, and NVIDIA gave me a ticket to GTC, but even without that, I am pro-AI. You can be pro-AI without being pro-oppressive billionaire class, you know. Hopefully I don't have to explain that. I've put together some of the videos from GTC, and it's kind of an overall story arc, but this one is about my own thoughts. I started with the AI factory, and this is a term that has been far more polarizing than I expected. In that video, I try to explain what that means. In my next video, I explained how the scaling works from DGX Spark to really DGX Station, and what customers are actually buying from Supermicro and how it fits together. The 8 GPU servers really, and maybe DGX Station. Next, I wondered about AI slop. The loudest voices on the internet decry slop at any hint of AI. So I wanted to show what's on the show floor and what's not slop, but more importantly that this might be the year where expectations are reset. This seems like the case with any new technology. Something new and innovative happens, and then the suits and the MBAs that don't actually have a clue will rush in, and there's a productivity explosion, and they're like, oh, there's a productivity explosion, let's fire everybody. But humanity finds a way to keep itself busy and add value. Add value for yourself, society, whatever. And you know, on the other side, on the flip side, if you doomers are right, this will hasten the collapse following the late stage capitalism thing that we find ourselves in, so you're going to get your wish anyway. It's a win-win for doomers. And finally, a peek at agentic AI. This is like having a friendly robot helper to do things for you. That's weirdly competent at some aspects of what you ask it to do, and also weirdly incompetent at the same time. It's a whole new way to compute. Will it grow legs? I don't know. It's certainly grown claws. It's got an escape clause. That's the whole idea with Nemotron from NVIDIA, right? So I don't really want to rehash all 4 of those videos because there's a lot of content there. But I do want you to keep those in mind, because a lot of the stuff that I talked about there and a lot of what we saw at GTC connects back here to this video for my own video. That's mostly about my own thoughts and feelings and the people that I met at GTC, and also a convenient path if you want to go see more from those people. From the NVIDIA side, we've got the Charlie Boyle interview. My interview with him is about 20 minutes, and it is a fantastic perspective because he's been with NVIDIA since the original DGX. And OpenAI was one of the first customers for the original DGX. And so he's been there for all of this. So it's an interesting insights.
It was one system. It was behind velvet ropes. And back then, everyone looked at it and said, oh my God, what am I ever going to do with 8 GPUs? That's way too much computing power for me. That was like the number one customer question in year one. Like, can I virtualize it? Like, how am I going to use 8 GPUs? Look at where we are 10 years later. You know, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of GPUs deployed.
Next from NVIDIA, we have Alan. He was in charge of the Spark project. Spark's launch was a little bit rough, but at GTC, we saw Spark kind of coming in of its own. It's growing legs, or claws maybe. Spark is a little different than other products like Jetson and Thor. Those are being integrated into real commercial platforms. Factory robots, biolab robots, self-driving cars. That's why NVIDIA is making those products. And then OpenClaw and NVIDIA's NemoClaw that can run entirely on DGX Spark, including the AI component of it. The Spark then acting as your AI agent.
In that case, it's very useful, but I think what a lot of people are doing is looking at, I can make these into always-on assistants. Maybe it's doing some product marketing. It's searching the web for mentions of my company or my products and giving me real-time updates, looking at all the Reddit threads and finding out what's going on. So people are looking at, I think, incredible ways to use them for their work and for their business. And so this one's kind of a mixed use, though. It's a little bit of fun and a little bit of helping them code. So.
Nice. An AI agent robot helper, if this sounds crazy futuristic, if I could catch you up to now, like if I were to explain agentic AI in the form of a musical composition, I think I would describe it as In the Hall of the Mountain King. It starts off like that, and then it quickly escalates to, a bazillion stars on GitHub. You want to build a claw? Yeah, you bet. The outdoor space at GTC was swamped every time I went by. And there were some fun folks at NVIDIA to help me explain it. Also, those interviews you should check out.
Yeah, just to give an idea of how powerful OpenClaw is and how actually intuitive it can be to use. I started using OpenClaw about 2 weeks ago because I was bored and I wanted to see what it was about. And that turned into building an entire, very extremely complex pipeline leveraging endpoints from about 12 different teams at NVIDIA to create that demo for Keynote, which is actually turning into a production pipeline that's going to be used at NVIDIA.
Agentic AI. It can be this stack of AIs that runs autonomously and coordinate, kind of just like people. And that kind of stack, having a lot of small AI pieces, maybe specialty training, maybe not, doing tool calls and building little Python programs to help themselves, that's probably what future AI architectures look like. And that's in a lot of the sample things at build.nvidia.com/spark. That's the stack that we took a look at in the video search and summarization videos that we did. And adjacent to that, NVIDIA was also showing off real-time translation, your voice in 12 languages, simultaneously with high-fidelity translation and even lip replacement. This platform was designed for real-time broadcast transmission, television. It was developed with the requirements of like the Olympics in mind. And it was proven out on GTC in the live stream where Jensen was simul-streaming in 12 different languages.
What you're looking at is Jensen speaking in English in the upper left, and he's speaking in Spanish in the upper right, French in the lower left, and then German in the lower right. And we're using an RTX Pro server. We have 8 GPUs, the 600-watt models running, and we can run, of course, many more languages than this on that system, but we're just showing 4 today. The exciting aspect here is that you can see that we're doing not only a live voice clone of Jensen, but we're also doing a lip sync of him using a model that the engineering team has built at NVIDIA. We're using Pangaea for the translation, and then we're also utilizing Riva for captions today.
I also had a chance to catch up with Depu Talla this year again, and his insights were, it's like, things have changed, but also things are staying the same. Last year, the robotics story felt a little bit like hype. This year, it felt real. It feels like there's pipelines now, and things actually happening with the robotics.
You have to be able to test that in simulation. You can't test robots in the real world. It's not safe, it's so expensive, and it's too slow.
Digital twin.
Digital twin, right? The simulation technologies also are matured much more. So because of that, in the last 12 months, you see a lot of companies now, for certain use cases, using a general purpose robotic brain and being able to do a lot of this brain testing in simulation is enabling them to deploy that fairly fast in the real world, especially for use cases like rigid body manipulation with 2 or 3 finger grippers.
NVIDIA's approach here is very specific. You don't just train robots in the real world. That's too slow and it's too expensive. You generate data. You generate data in like pure simulation, in synthetic environments. You build reinforcement loops. You train in simulation. And then you validate in reality. And you feed that back into the model. That's the loop. And it's actually working. I mean, they said that last year in not so many words, and it's working. NVIDIA's stack matters here. Omniverse for simulation, Isaac for robotics, Nemo open models for reasoning. We have covered all that. We've heard about most of that a year ago, but seeing independent companies that have nothing to do with NVIDIA other than using their technology, using those frameworks and living up to what was promised last year is interesting and maybe a little validating, I think. At the risk of mercilessly beating the dead horse, all those robots need to consume tokens too. So not AI slop, those tokens turn into movement, decisions, physical outcomes. But it's the same infrastructure generating those tokens. Even entertainment. Remember in the keynote, Olaf. It's a Disney character, a real-world animatronic robot. It's a gimmick, but it also proves that the token approach works and all of the software stack and everything that goes with that. And then there's Tesla. Elon is all in on Optimus. They're converting parts of their car production lines to build robots. Think about that. Think about what's going on there. And think about that in the larger context of the economy, global and local otherwise. There's a narrative that AI equals slop. Images, text, noise. That is absolutely true. But it's also a distraction. I saw robots everywhere. Opentrons. Opentrons is doing biolab automation. So you want a robotic spine surgery? Humanoid, the Humanoid company. NVIDIA also had startup companies, like true startup companies, in their innovation lab. And it was interesting to hear from those. And then Humanoid that I mentioned before, their whole stack here, their whole thing is making it more accessible for humanoid robotics.
The humanoid potential unfolding in 3 phases. First one is more industrial focused, then hospitality, retail, and then household. A lot of other companies, they think household is today, but we believe this is the better sequence to start. These are our robots. You see a second differentiation.
We even saw specialized skyscraper window washer robots. This is one of the most practical and pragmatic robot companies that I've seen in an age. It's a very real problem, very real goals, and they already have a product. And I wouldn't even use the word modest to describe what they're doing, but that's what I'm talking about when I say that AI enables a lot of entrepreneurs. And every single one of these systems, they all consume tokens. We want to build a robot that does a good job cleaning skyscrapers. More power to you. That's producing real value. There's real experiments, there's repeatable science in the biolab robots, physical outcomes, whether that's the biosamples moving around or washing windows or something far more ambitious that we see in the humanoid robot companies. But that's what I'm talking about. The data generation there will be used for training, which will accelerate the next generation.
This blows my mind. What we actually do is we are able to digitize science. So if we can code an entire PCR experiment with iterations, because we're in 10,000 labs around the world, we're in 90% of the world's academic and biopharma accounts. So if we're able to digitize science, we can train other pieces of equipment, the entire model.
What's the repeatability?
And that's the wedge.
Yeah,
that's
it's like,
right.
So check out the links for the full interviews with the Opentrons folks on the forum thread. They had a lot of really interesting things to say. And coming from a not graphics and not AI background, but knowing that they have, 10,000 of their robots in labs around the world, AI is unlocking massive robotics experimental gains for them and the people that use their robots.
There are so many labs out there that do not have any form of automation. So they're doing everything manually, which is painful and annoying. And you're not focusing on the actual science, you're focusing on the mechanism of the science. And a year ago, this was something to where, if you go to lots of other manufacturers to pay them to write a protocol, for Opentrons, we could write it in Python, but scientists don't write in Python. We had some drag and drop tools, but we created something specific, like an LLM RAG model that is specific for writing protocols for specific workflows, PCR, et cetera. Now they can use natural language to create a protocol. And in addition to that, there's a co-scientist built in. So if they want to optimize for half reactions or minimize their pipette tip usage, things like that, now they can make smarter protocols and they're not intimidated by that.
Then there's Lektra. It's like the power grid is too fragile. One fix for that is everybody gets backup power. Not really, sort of, kind of. You should check out his interview.
I hear you. Well, most solar owners, most people who have distributed energy, unfortunately, they've been selling back to the grid, which pays you only 6 cents a kilowatt hour. Solar is actually very profitable, but when you sell back to the grid, you're not making that much money. It's a monopoly, so it's got a structural problem. When you co-locate like a micro data center and then sell to that, it depends on the chip. It could be a 5090 RTX 6000, making anywhere from $1.50 to $2 an hour. So multiples of what you'd make otherwise. So why that's important is then we write energy LLMs and advise those homes and what we call energy hosts to build more capacity. So we're actually, whereas hyperscalers are chasing power, we're actually building power to support the AI.
And then just running around the GTC hallways, I ran into a few level 1 community favorites, including Jeff from Craft Computing. He had some thoughts.
Corridor Crew, the VFX guys on YouTube, they developed
their green screen.
The green screen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So automatic chroma keying using what we call synthetic data now, but basically generate a 3D image of a green screen of an actor in front of a green screen, but then also 3D render that same exact scene without the green screen in the background and tell AI, this is the right answer. How do you get from A to B?
And Tae Kim, author and blogger, author of The NVIDIA Way, other things. He also had a lot of thoughts.
And the way it works is that use cases that are verifiable, like coding, robots, simulating, drug discovery, that's the stuff that's going to be great the next few years. We're going to see massive innovations. People are literally going to find cures because this is stuff that's verifiable, that's perfect for the simulations that GPUs can do, right? Everyone gets caught up in the sci-fi stuff, but like forget that. Think about compute, physical simulation, and what is actually possible with this technology.
Did you see the... So that, in a nutshell, was my NVIDIA trip. Oh, and if you walked into GTC expecting hype, well, yes, you're going to find enough hype to power London for the next 50 years. I mean, that sort of goes without saying. But if you actually talk to people, you'd find that they were building things and they were finding something else. And really, there was probably more fear of upper management not understanding AI than the AI itself. I saw AI amplifying people who know what they're doing. And yeah, because it was GTC, that might be a little biased because there's a lot of people that didn't make it to GTC. Engage below if you worked for Oracle and Oracle sent you to GTC and now you don't work for Oracle. Maybe this is the beginning of something incredible. A Promethean moment in the history of civilization. Or maybe we're on the speed run through late-stage capitalism before hitting a wall. But the reset following something like that sure looks like a lot what AI doomers want anyway. For me, for my part, I'd love a return to accountability. Accountability first. The idea of the first duty of the human experience is to the truth, to yourself and anyone else. And if AI helps with that, great. And if it doesn't, well, we've got bigger problems then, don't we? And it wasn't really an AI problem to begin with. It's plain to me that the economic value of we the people have long since been hollowed out. I mean, see also the mortgage crisis and credit default swaps and the behavior of commodities market. I mean, even things just like silver as a metal. It's weird. Even before AI entered the picture as a convenient trigger, scapegoat, or other apt description of AI, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot to unpack. But the interviews with the folks that I talked to, they're enlisted, and they're in the forum thread. So if you want to hear more from those folks, there's a lot more, and you should check those out. I'm Woodless at Level 1, and I think I've certainly said enough about all this now. Don't you think? I think so too. All right, I'm signing out, and you'll find me in the Level 1 forums. So yeah, and we're all in this together. Woo! All right, I'm signing out, and I'll see you there.